Because he's doing it.
Very. It has already become like a car crash.
Yeah, you can see.
I think we should be worried about how they're going to get their resources, because this is Kanye West.
I guess so.
He's married to the Kardashians.
So they have unlimited resources. Is that what you're saying?
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
That is how we get looped into a cycle of insanity, repeating the same thing and expecting a different result. That cycle of failure is unsustainable and it has to end now.
Perfection train is back.
They take us to the bush and start asking us to call our people to send money.
What can be done as an intervention for them right now to stop abuse of all children?
Hello and many thanks for joining us on News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. My name is Felicity Ezewike. President Muhammadu Buhari can govern the country from anywhere in the world so long as his absence is for a short period and does not need to inform the National Assembly. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, who made the assertion in response to an inquiry on the issue, further referenced Section 145, subsection 12 of the 1999 Constitution to make a defense for Buhari. According to him, Buhari was still exercising authority as the president while in the UK, since his absence would be for 10 days and not up to 21 days, which would then have constituted a breach of the Constitution. The president left the country on Thursday last week in what the presidency described as a private visit. Normalcy has returned to Gombe State and its environs after the imposition of a 15-hour curfew in the city by the state government in response by police to work
accumulated problem that has not been addressed for a very long time. The level of unemployment, the level of poverty, especially in the north, especially in the northeast and the northwest, has come to the head whereby some of these, should I call them alamajiris and other kinds of people that were not going to school have decided to stop begging and pick up arms to get their own piece of the national cake, so to say. You know, so the kidnapping is really, really going on because you see a society, you know, which is, a disparity is very, very wide. And while some people are so poor, don't have a meal to eat in a day, then you see somebody driving around with a $75,000 vehicle. So these are the kinds of things that we're experiencing now. And I think it has to be addressed quickly.
You mentioned the situation in the northern part of the country. Yes. There seemed to be a peculiar security situation in select states of Gombe, Zamfara, Kaduna, and Borno. Can you speak on this? What could be the peculiarity of the security situation, and are the security agencies addressing the issue as it should?
Well, Zamfara is a state that is, should I say, is an ungoverned state. You know, there are a lot of ungoverned spaces in this country. And then, of course, that is ungoverned spaces in the sense that you don't have any presence of security around. And a lot of people are just running around using all kinds of arms and ammunition they can get hold on. And, of course, the mining that has been going on, especially in Zamfara, where people are cutting away gold, very, very expensive minerals, you know, out of the country. And they feel that they have to take part in this collection of tolls, because for those people who are taking them out, if you are passing through, you have to pay toll, otherwise you don't go anywhere. You know, and then of course they know that this is a lot of money that is going out of the place, and the cartels are there to sometimes even take off from other people that have mined it. You go to Borno, of course we have the Boko Haram situation there, and it's been very, very, for 9 years now, we've been fighting that, and then you find out that poverty and grown-up, able-bodied men without jobs, you know, as they say, is the devil's workshop. So those people are there. Kaduna, you will have the community clashes that are going on there. People have been displaced in their own country. And then a lack of government intervention, whereby you see today they will put some kind of curfew, and then tomorrow they remove it, and then life goes on and then until another attack.
Yeah, that brings me to the situation in Gombe.
Yes.
The curfew was imposed not only on Gombe, I think Kaduna as well.
Kaduna too, yes.
And then it was lifted about 24 hours after. Do you think that that was the right call to make as at that time, or maybe it could have been extended to review the situation on the ground before such a call is made?
I think that that kind of situation where you impose curfews, curfews are basically imposed to mop up, you know, whatever criminal activities that are going on, especially at night. But 24 hours, yeah, they might be able to pursue some of the criminals out of the place, but in the short term, you know, in the long term, it does not solve any problem. It will not, you know, because these people are still there. And as soon as they see that the security agents are relaxed, they come back again and hit. So I don't think that's the right strategy to use.
All right, so the acting IGP recently attributed, it's been in the news actually, attributed the misuse of firearms by officers to emotional stress and even, or maybe psychological imbalance or something affecting their rationale, and even ordered that an 8-hour shift be the thing that should be done to, you know, enhance their effectiveness and reduce cases of accidental discharge of, do you think that is right?
I
or do you agree? Let's rephrase the question.
I don't fully agree with him. I don't fully agree with him because it's a situation where you are asking them. Yes, 8-hour shifts is fantastic, you know, because they are overstretched and they work, you know, and some of them, because of the stress and emotional trauma they have, they end up with drinking alcohol or smoking some kind of narcotics or whatever, which might induce them to use their firearms anyhow they like. Now, those firearms, you know, are not well handled. There is no proper handling of those firearms, whereby most of them have not been to the range, because you have to teach people how to really handle these firearms. They might have been to the range, and that's why it is very necessary that every 6 months, anybody that handles firearms should go to the range, shooting range, to practice. You know, it's not a situation where you say it's accidental discharge.
Do you think this is being done? Do we have the capacity?
I don't think it's being done. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's being done, because anybody who is well trained to handle firearms will not have an accidental discharge or will not shoot somebody anyhow, because that gun is, you know, there's respect for those who handle arms properly.
Well, he also said that fatigue was part of it, and that's why the 8-hour shift became
there
necessary.
Could be fatigue, but
will this address
the 8-hour shift, just like the former IG had said, will not be. They will not be able to achieve that with the number they have. The Nigerian police force is about just a little bit less than 400,000 in the whole in our whole country of 200 million, almost 200 million people. So you find that's why we have ungoverned spaces. The security or the law enforcement agents are thinly spread. They are not covering everywhere, you know. So Most of them have been assigned to politicians. Most of them are assigned to some high net worth individuals. You see them in banks. So the number that is actually on ground to do criminal justice system is not much. So I think they have to recruit, because this number is not enough for them to carry out that.
Your quick thoughts on the suggestion that stun guns should be used for intercity police officers?
Stun guns are good, non-lethal. Those are non-lethal weapons, but also you must train people to use them. You know, you must train people to use them. It is not a situation where I will discharge some volts of electricity into somebody and throw him down on the ground. And if you don't do it properly, the person can sue you because you don't go ahead and use or try it on people. Because, like I said, training is key. If you don't train somebody to handle any kind of weapon, the person will not, they will misuse it.
Before I let you go, Nigerian security agencies have been accused of being deficient when it comes to intelligence gathering, which is key to solving crimes. What's your thought on this? Well,
I disagree. I'm from the intelligence community myself, and I think a lot of intelligence are being gathered in this country and being disseminated. But again, there is one thing with intelligence, of which I have personal experience, where I can gather intelligence, and if you are the consumer and I give you the intelligence, it depends on you on how you use it, You can decide to use it, and you can decide to discard it, you know, and you can discard it for many reasons, especially to politicians. You give intelligence to politicians, sometimes they use it, sometimes they don't want to use it because of political reasons or religious reasons. So, if there is a lack of usage of intelligence, it's not because of a lack of intelligence itself.
Thank you very much, sir, for coming on the news.
Thank you for having me.
We'll take a short break now, and when we come back, the news continues. So stay with us. You're watching News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. A top opposition leader on Saturday called for Sudan to join the International Criminal Court, which has indicted its ousted president Umar al-Bashir, as protesters and the military met to discuss the civilian rule. Sadiq al-Mahdi, a former prime minister and head of the opposition National Umar Party that has backed the protest, also told reporters that the army's ouster of Bashir was not a military coup. His comments came as a joint committee representing the ruling military leadership and protesters held their first meeting to discuss a demand by demonstrators for a handover to civilian rule. Bashir was ousted by the army on April 11 after months-long protests that rocked his 3-decade-old rule. The news continues after the short break. Roman Catholic churches Sunday locked their doors to the public amid tight security in Colombo as the country reels from last week's string of bomb attacks that killed over 250 people. Roman Catholics in the country were advised not to carry out any religious activities in their churches in light of the attacks that hit 3 hotels and 4 churches. Father Chadana Pereira of St. Teresa's Church told Reuters in the empty church in central Colombo that it was hard to see how empty the church was, adding, "It is so sad that this kind of disaster had happened because of religion." Sri Lanka has been high has been on high alert since the attacks on Easter Sunday, with nearly 10,000 soldiers deployed across the island to carry out searches and hunt down members of 2 local Islamist groups believed to have carried out the attack. Authorities have detained over 100 people since the bombings in 3 churches and 4 hotels, most of which were in the capital.
That's really hard to see this empty church. Just from the time I came, I took up this parish. My aim was to bring more people to worship God here and help them, to give them a better atmosphere to be with God in this house of God. Death should be answered by religion. There should be some tangible answer for it. Not that religion should cause death. It's so sad that this kind of disasters had happened due to a religion, because of religion.
We are here. We are God with us, Lord Jesus with us, and we are there, and we are showing our deepest sympathy for the who passed away from the bombs, and we are there for them.
Actually, I came out of my home after 1 week, so I think we shouldn't get afraid of the terrorists and all these things.
Yeah, actually, we are taking precautions to ensure that we ensure that the church is safeguarded, the members are safeguarded, and people who are coming to worship today are safe and they feel safe. And of course, we have to start taking preventive controls going forward to ensure that until things fall into place, that we have to do certain things which we were not expected to be doing after the war ended in 2009.
U.S. President Donald Trump pressed Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to have Japanese automakers produce more vehicles in the United States, according to a readout of their recent meeting provided by the U.S. ambassador to Japan on Saturday. The two discussed recent public announcements by Japanese car makers, including Toyota Motor Corporation's decision to invest more in U.S. plants. Trump told the campaign rally in Green Bay, Wisconsin on Saturday that Abe said Japan would invest $40 billion in U.S. car factories, though Trump did not give details on the timeline for the planned investments. The ambassador also added that Trump is optimistic trade talks with China would be successful.
Many decades we've been losing tens of billions of dollars to China and Japan and India and name any country, and we lost. But we're not losing anymore. And I said, listen, we got to do something. $68 billion in trade losses over the last 4 or 5 years, a year. So we're renegotiating. And I think he'll be fair. I think he'll be fair. And by the way, he started by saying that he's putting $40 billion into the United States for new car factories. Toyota's coming in with $14 billion. Many companies are coming in. And they're coming in, frankly, to Michigan. They're coming back.
Representatives of the auditing firms were present to present the auditor's report for the financial year ended December 31st. Shared the 5
departments to do this work. We are doing that. We had said
learning disability prevented him from reading court documents in his alleged criminal sexual abuse case. The Ignition hitmaker was Game 1 of their Eastern Conference semi-final playoff tie. It was a career playoff high for the Toronto Raptors superstar, who took on Manchester United at Old Trafford later. What solutions should the Nigerian police force be looking at? Officers. Well, I have with me still in the studio Raymond Nkanebe, a legal practitioner. Thank you for staying with us.
Officer